Now that we've understood standard versus custom, let's also understand schema. What is schema? What does the word schema mean? Schema is more like a blueprint, right? If you are trying to answer this, it could be a blueprint, some sort of a map, right? Some sort of a treasure hunt to understand a lot of different things when brought together. So whenever you want to, build a new house for yourself, so you need a blueprint or you need a schema of how it would look. And when you envision it, when you then put it down on your schema map and then you hand it over to a designer or an architect or a builder or on your own, that's when you are able to actually convert it into what you have envisioned. Correct? So schema is that blueprint that tells you, okay, these three things are linked together. These four things go there. These five things are associated this way. So on Salesforce, if you want to understand how two different objects are connected, how two different fields are linked, what is the type of field that's used, what's the name of it, how are these 24 objects linked, is there any association between object A and object J, all of that can be found on the schema side of it. Okay, so the objects in Salesforce comprise of the schema, and that is what holds the server side of the fort. If you understand the schema, meaning if you understand an object, if you understand how it is linked to different objects, the job is half done because you understand relationships, right? You can then query them, you can then update them, you can do all of that. That's pretty basic. There's no rocket science to it. Understanding the schema, understanding which is a child object, what kind of a relationship is this, how are they linked together, that's crucial. Why is that crucial? I'll just take one more minute to explain, right? So that you're not bored. The thing is, you and I might be Salesforce developers, right? But people who write requirements and people who provide requirements, they don't know anything about Salesforce. They only understand the schema side of it, or they understand the business or the functional side of it. So they'll come and tell you, Himanshu, I have this organization that I'm working with, and I am wanting to create something for all my employees, right? I want to have this particular object that stores the target for each employee. And then I want these targets to be segregated on monthly basis, Jan, Feb until December. What I also want to do is on each target, I want to track the number of leads that the agent was able to convert, and I want to store the revenue that he was able to close and then sum it up and see whether for a particular month he was able to succeed or not. Did he meet his target or not? So this is what a product or a business would come to you with. Your job is actually translate that into the schema of Salesforce, meaning how would you implement it in Salesforce? Correct? So if you know, oh, okay, he's wanting to track monthly, right? So I might need, let's say, 12 fields, for example, Jan actuals, Feb actuals, etc. Oh, he wants a target. So I can probably introduce a new field on the lead object that stores the target information, right? Oh, he wants to see whether it is closed or not. So that means the agents would close the lead and or they would close the opportunity. So I would have to use the lead and opportunity object. Yeah, I can use that. So once you are aligned with the schema that Salesforce provides, oh, okay, this requirement might not be able to suffice through standard objects. I might need to create a custom object for it, right? So, okay, I'll create a custom object. I'll link it to the opportunity. I'll create opportunity as the parent. So if you are aware or if you are mindful of the fact that, okay, this is how the schema would look like for this functional requirement, job is half done, correct? That's what I'm trying to say. So understanding the schema involves understanding the requirements, standard fields, custom fields, standard relationships, custom relationships, and pretty much overall picture, right? And that's how you'll be able to confidently answer business that, okay, this is how you can approach it, or this is how I can technically solution it, right? That's the job of the developer. How do you see the schema? Like one way to see the schema, the very basic schema, I gave you a very big picture, but the schema builder is something that's available on Salesforce on the setup page. And what you can do is you can take a look at the relationship or how each object is associated. So this opens up a grid. It's loading because it's showing all the objects. Just see this down here. This is the list of objects that are currently selected. Each object is represented by this box, and look at this section on the bottom left, bottom right. These are all the objects. See, how they are linked. Look at this lines interlinked to each other. So beautiful, right? What we want to do is I'll just go ahead and clear this out, and I'll just introduce three objects. Account. So account must have come here. See account. So it tells you these are the fields. Okay. This is the field name. This is the type of field. This is the number of characters that's allowed. These are all the fields. Correct. I want to introduce, let's say, contact. So contact has also come somewhere here. I'll just bring it down closer so that we can see that in a single frame. So you see, account and contact are linked by this line. What does this mean? This means that the contact looks up to the account. So there's a lookup relationship from contact to account, meaning account is the parent, contact is the child. Okay. Then let's say if I want to introduce user. How is a user linked? I'll just get this down here. So you see, so many links. Why is that? It's because every account or every contact would have a record owner, and that owner is nothing but a user. Correct? So that user, this lookup to user is where the association is. See, this line comes here. So one user can be the owner of multiple accounts. Correct? One user can be owner of multiple contacts, which is why you see this one to many line. We'll understand the different kind of relationships. Don't worry about that. But this is a good place to start to understand schema. When is it a good place to start? You joined a company wherein a project has been running for 6 years. Yeah, there are 23 objects that are custom implementation, custom object. You have been given a Jira story on that needs to work on that you need to work on 3 or 4 objects. So very quickly you can come to the schema builder, check, okay, this is how they are associated to each other. This is the parent, this is the grandparent, this is the child, this is the super child, or they are not interlinked at all. Oh, okay, they're independent, mutually exclusive. Okay, all sorted. Now let's go back to the Jira story, understand what the function requirement is, and then let's see if I can draw the picture into Salesforce picture. Make sense? That's how important this very small topic is. All right. So always try to look at the overall picture. Always try to look at the schema side of it. Correct? You cannot build a house if you just figure out, okay, this is where I will put my bedroom, or this is how where I'll put the kitchen. No, you'll have to align everything around it. Correct? That's how you'll understand schema. And on that note, let's begin understanding relationships, because that's where the main game is. And what I'll do is I'll explain you all the kinds of relationships that exist in Salesforce. All right. We'll talk about the primary ones first, and then I'll also take you through the special ones. All right. So let's now talk about relationships.